AEW is finally doing something right with Mercedes Moné. What does that mean exactly? Well, I've put together a full breakdown using a bullet point style system where I'm going to explain everything you need to know about what AEW is doing with Mercedes, why it matters, and why I think we are finally heading in the right direction with her. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know we've covered the ups and downs of Mercedes Moné's AEW run in painful detail. When she first signed with AEW, the situation was rocky, to say the least. She debuted as a babyface, but it didn't really click. Her promos weren't landing, her character wasn't fully fleshed out yet, and, of course, she couldn't even wrestle because she was still recovering from injury. It was a rough start, no real momentum, no true crowd investment, and not much of a sense that she was making AEW better. But something changed. Over the last 6 months or so, Mercedes has completely dialed in her character. She's found herself, she's figured out her promos, her attitude, her presence, and her ring work, which was already world-class, is now back at full strength. She has some serious heat as a heel, and she's getting authentic reactions from the crowd, not just polite applause. So what is AEW doing right with her? Let's break it down step by step. First up, we have her immediate future. Mercedes Moné has been officially entered into the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. That was announced this week on AEW Dynamite. This is a huge deal for a couple of reasons. The Owen Hart tournament is a prestigious event. AEW treats it seriously. It's not just a gimmick tournament thrown together for ratings, there's genuine prestige attached to winning it. There's a clear prize and clear stakes, and that's always a key to getting fans emotionally invested. And the first match? Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart. That match is happening this Sunday night at AEW Dynasty, on pay-per-view, and let me tell you, this match is going to be a banger. I absolutely love that we're getting Mercedes and Julia in a proper PPV setting. They're going to get time, they're going to be allowed to tell a full story in the ring, and both of them are more than capable of delivering a match that feels big. Even though Julia Hart is going to lose this match, and she absolutely should lose, the goal is that she gets the rub from being in the ring with Mercedes. If AEW books this right, Julia can come out of this looking stronger than she did going in, and it could be a major step forward for her career. She's young, she's talented, and working with someone like Mercedes can only elevate her even further if AEW capitalizes. Now remember, the Owen Hart Foundation tournament is structured to end at Double or Nothing on May 25th, where the winners of each bracket face off in the finals. Which leads us into the next major point. Mercedes Moné is expected to win this tournament. Pretty much everybody agrees on this. It's one of the worst kept secrets in wrestling right now. Mercedes winning the Owen Hart Cup is a logical, smart move. She's red hot, she's credible, and winning a major tournament gives her momentum heading into the summer. So that's 2 positives already. She's in the tournament and she's poised to win it. Now step 3, after winning the tournament, Mercedes Moné is expected to move into a title match against Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship at All In Wembley Stadium. Let's pause and appreciate how big this match is. On paper, Mercedes Moné versus Timeless Toni Storm is easily the biggest women's match AEW can make right now. Mercedes is one of AEW's biggest mainstream stars, a legitimate crossover name. Toni Storm, meanwhile, has reinvented herself into one of the top characters not just in the women's division but in all of AEW. Her timeless gimmick is over, she's entertaining, and she backs it up in the ring. If you're Tony Khan, you're looking at your roster and asking, what is the biggest possible women's match we can put on at our biggest show of the year? And this is it. You have Mercedes Moné, a massive acquisition, and Toni Storm, a homegrown success story, colliding for the women's championship at All In front of potentially 60,000 plus fans in London. That's money, that's smart, that's what AEW should be doing. But that's not all. Step 4, there's another major match being teased down the road, Mercedes Moné versus Athena. Now this was first reported by Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful Select. According to his report, Mercedes Moné versus Athena has been in the AEW plans for quite some time. Originally, there were discussions about doing the match at Dynasty, and then there was speculation about maybe doing it at Double or Nothing. Others suggested it might be saved for a major show in Texas, given Athena's local ties. Regardless of when it happens, the important thing is that this match is happening. And AEW is already planting the seeds. Mercedes and Athena are both in the Owen Hart tournament. That's not a coincidence. AEW is deliberately lining them up to cross paths, whether it's during or after the tournament. If I had to guess, I think we could get Mercedes versus Athena at Double or Nothing. possibly as the tournament final itself. That's a big-time match, a worthy PPV showcase, and it would allow both women to shine in a high-profile setting. If it doesn't happen there, that's fine, they can build it for later in the summer. Either way, the match is happening, and that's great news. Now think about the list of opponents Mercedes is working with over the next few months. You have Julia Hart, former TBS champion, young, promising, and someone that Mercedes can absolutely help elevate. This is a match that fans have been waiting for, especially after the disappointment of last year, when Julia had to drop the TBS title to Willow Nightingale instead of Mercedes because Mercedes wasn't medically cleared. You have Athena, who is arguably one of the best women's wrestlers in the world today, with a chip on her shoulder and a need to prove herself on a big stage. And you have timeless Toni Storm, the top character in the AEW women's division, a genuine star, and a perfect foil for Mercedes. That's a loaded schedule, that's a murderer's row of matches, and it's exactly what Mercedes Moné should be doing. Finally, let's touch on the timing and logistics. AEW announced this week that their show in Arlington, Texas, on July 12th, the one originally scheduled for prime time, is being moved to an earlier start time. The main card will now begin at 3 p.m. Eastern, with the pre-show starting around 2 p.m. Why the move? Well, AEW didn't want to go head-to-head with WWE's Saturday night's main event on NBC. Optics matter. Competing directly with WWE on network television and losing in the ratings would have been a bad look, especially for a show where they're trying to pack a stadium. Instead, by moving the show to earlier in the day, AEW avoids that direct clash. Smart move, protect your biggest events whenever possible. That show is expected to run long. Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that the main card alone could stretch over 5 hours. Add in a long pre-show, and you're looking at a total show length of close to 7 hours. It's going to be a marathon. Pack snacks, stay hydrated. But more importantly, that's where Mercedes Moné's next major matches are likely to happen. Between Dynasty, Double or Nothing, and the Arlington show in July, Mercedes Moné is about to be one of the most heavily featured and heavily pushed stars in AEW. And she deserves it. Because Mercedes Moné isn't just another name on the roster, she's a generational talent, a legitimate difference maker, someone who, when booked correctly, can raise the entire division and make AEW's women's roster feel big league. And for the first time since she signed, it feels like AEW finally understands that. They're giving her major opponents, they're putting her in meaningful matches, they're using her star power to elevate others, they're letting her be the character she was meant to be: confident, arrogant, dangerous, and the crowd is eating it up. This summer is going to be a huge one for Mercedes Moné. And if AEW keeps doing what they're doing, it's going to be a huge one for the AEW women's division, too. Finally,